welcome to the Design-Based Learning Podcast.
Hi, I'm Mike.
I'm Henry.
And we're here again for you.
On our episode 5 already.
I think so, yes.
What a journey we've been.
I know. And it's been good. Every week we learn something new. Like today.
Every Friday when we have our coffee chat.
Yes.
Always something interesting from our coffee chat, right?
I know. This morning we were talking again and what happened? You and your teachers, I have no idea what you do with your teachers.
Yeah, I came into the coffee chat again and scratching my head and I was like, Mike, I face some problems again. I need your wisdom to help me to navigate again.
Okay. And?
So basically, a teacher came up to me recently as well. She was like, Henry, I did my first ever design-based learning project with kids. I finished the entire project cycle.
Mm-hmm. And she must have been happy, right?
I was like, congratulations, man. Yeah. I'm so proud of you. And then, but I see something on her facial expression. I was like, there's something wrong in there. I was like, hey, how did it go? And she was like, it didn't really go into plan how I expected it to be.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, wait, what went wrong? And she was like, I have no idea. I followed your instructions, Henry. I followed everything in the online platform, the training platform we did for her. And I followed every tools, the instructions you gave me, but the outcome is a bit different to what I expected.
So she was not happy with the results and she didn't know what she did wrong.
Yeah, she didn't know what went wrong, but she just followed everything that I've taught her on this training platform. So she was like, what should I do? So we were like, this is an interesting topic in there.
That's right. So she followed all the instructions, but it seems like the instructions were not helpful. I mean, if we are supposed to be doing design-based learning, the instructions should be helpful, right, and clear.
Yeah. So in the conversation we had today, we looked at key attributes of a DBL facilitator. And there are basically 3 attributes that we really want to look at.
Okay.
The first one is the ability to lesson plan.
Okay.
The second one is the facilitation skills, so in-class facilitation. And lastly, the DBL experience. We know that it's going to be a process of learning in there. So we looked at these 3 attributes and see how we can come up with conversations.
Lesson planning ability, the facilitation skills, and the DBL experience itself.
Yeah. So should we look at the first one on lesson planning ability?
Right.
So I just asked her about like, how did your lesson plan? Now, what did you do in your lessons and stuff like that? She was like, I just followed everything in there. And I was like, there's quite a lot of tools actually you used in there.
So she just used every single tool you gave her on the...
Yes, pretty much, yeah. So for example, empathy. She just looked at the empathy book and she saw like how many tools have been used and tried to fit in all the tools in that lesson. She thinks maybe that's the way of doing empathy. But from experience of running design-based learning projects, not all tools will work. And you don't have to complete all the tools for every single lesson. You just need to pick the right tool for the right problem to solve. You don't need to go in very deep in there.
Okay, so she got caught mostly in the instructions. These are all the tools I can use, and she just put the whole list of tools into play.
Yeah, and what really she should be thinking about is what tools I can hack. All right, so based on the materials we provide her, try to see how I can hack this tool and make it simpler for my kids to understand. And it has to fit back to the topic she's teaching. Not just for the sake of doing an empathy map. You do an empathy map in the classroom. There's a reason why you do it. So that's very important in there. And sometimes you don't even need tools. Often when we design workshops or design lessons, I often just think about what is the goal that I'm trying to achieve. And these tools is just a supporting factor for me to do that. But sometimes I might not even need tools. Maybe just some questioning techniques.
That's right.
Making students reflect is already an easy way to achieve your goal. And this is more time realistic for teachers as well. So they know what is the minimal thing I need to do to move on to the next stage. And that can save them time by understanding the goal that she wants to achieve and what tools she could use to get there.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I can see what happens because even when I do these things in class, you do have to choose which tools to use, and you do have to cut and paste, hack, mix and match what different tools you want to use, and the key is when you're using the tools, you have to know the purpose of the tools and the level of the learners. You can't just use every tool for every lesson. I mean, you have to choose the right tools. I mean, I've done that before. Where
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, you've been teaching for loads, like ages, like a long time. Have you ever experienced times when you prepared some tools before the lesson, but it didn't really work out in there? And what did you do to...
Well, you're always looking at the ability of the students to react and comprehend what you're trying to do. And if you see that the tools that I've used in terms of research are not effective, or they're not getting into the heart of the matter, then you just have to stop and reset and then say, okay, maybe try a different tool.
So you basically trying to adapt to the situation.
You have to adapt to the situation.
Yeah, and I would say so as well. Yeah. In a DBL facilitator, you should be able to observe what the kids are building. And maybe if they don't have enough knowledge, maybe try to put a bit more knowledge in there so that they can have the ability to do the tools. And that's one key thing to consider as well, the student's ability
that's right.
to do the tools.
So you have to know, they have to know how to use the tool. You have to teach them how to use the tools. They have to understand the purpose and the meaning of the tool. I mean, this is part of facilitation skills, right? The goal of the lesson, what the tool means, how to use it. Do they have enough experience in using it?
And sometimes I think that's where empathy comes in as well, because as teachers, if we can just try to think as a student, just imagine if I'm the student, how would I feel when I'm doing this empathy map, for example? Do I have enough knowledge? How am I going to run it? Yeah. What are they going to do? If you can see that picture in your head, it'll be much easier for you to run it perfectly in class.
Definitely. Visualizing your classroom before you go in is very important.
Yeah. So shall we look at the second point on facilitation skills? Yes. So this is, what is the facilitation skills, you think?
The facilitation skills is helping the learners reach the goal of each lesson, and helping the goal. First, the learners have to know what the goal is and have to find meaning in the task that they're doing, and they have to know why they are there and what they're trying to accomplish. It's very important.
And teacher just kind of like facilitating the way to help kids to get to the goal.
The teachers are trying to ask the right questions: the why, the how. So asking the right questions at the right time to make sure the process moves forward.
And yet, some of the things we have to think about is the tools. Be aware of the trap of kids think that I'm just doing this tool for the sake of doing this tool. Yeah. The teacher asked me to do it, so I do it. All right? And that's a big trap that we shouldn't fall into in our lessons.
That's what happens sometimes. So like we started, the teacher said, I follow your instructions, and also the students say, I follow your instructions. Yeah.
So what we can do actually is to make a very clear goal, as you just said. All right? So every kid know that by the end of the lesson, this is something that we want to achieve. Yes. And then we can simply just ask questions in the class, all right? And ask students, what do you think we could do to achieve the goal of today? So give them a bit of ownership about this journey to get to the goal. And then you could reveal some of the tools you want to use to help students to get there. So they have a connection of why these tools are being used and what's the goal going to be there. Yeah,
so you can ask after they say what they want to do, and say why is it going to work, or how is it going to work, or have you thought of other ways of doing it? So that's part of facilitation, all those questions.
Do you think it's important for kids to understand the meaning of the tools?
They have to know how the tool works, and they have to know the goal of the tool, but they don't need to understand the philosophy behind how you set up the tool.
Yeah.
That's especially for younger learners in primary school. They don't need to know the philosophy of the tool. They just need to know how to use it. Do they have enough knowledge and skills to use it?
Yeah, it's the ability to do it as well, isn't it? So if we do something very complex, the tools, and you know that students are falling off on the difficulty level, is there some ways we can adapt on the tools and make it simpler so that we can still achieve the goal as well? So it's really thinking about, as a facilitator, can you adapt to situations like that in class as well?
Yeah, it's tough because not one tool fits everything. So you do need to look at your learner. You have to see what they need, what they can do, their knowledge, how much knowledge they have. Yeah. That's also very important.
So often, actually, if I give tips to a teacher, right, I would say don't print out the worksheet. Don't print out the tool. Let students draw the tool. So when students draw the tool, you're giving them ability to hack the tool.
Yeah.
So they might think differently. I don't know why we're doing this. Can we change it to this?
Yeah.
And you're giving them some rooms to change the canvas, and students can own the process in there.
That's right. You don't give the whole chart. You let them create the chart.
Yeah, and students have more ownership because they draw it,
That's
draw it
right.
by themselves, and less work for you as well, right?
Well, yes and no, because you do need to think through all the possible scenarios to visualize it before you start.
All right. So let's go through the last bit on the
DBL experience.
The DBL
itself.
experience. Yeah. What do you think about this, Mike?
What do I think? Well, the learning experience, if we remember our last lesson, there is trial and error, and the learning experience does take. You have to try. There's only one way to do it. It's by trying. You have to. How about you? How did you learn your DBL experience? I think you can give a better story to our listeners.
It's a long journey, because when I was I'm still young, but when I was just trying to be a facilitator for the first time, I remember I just wrote down every single word I was trying to say in a script format, and then I tried to facilitate it. But every time when you do a workshop, I always just reflect on how we can improve my next workshop, or how do I improve on my next lesson. So this is a very crucial skills to have in there. So knowing what you did good, what didn't go well, and how you could improve in there. So the more time you do with it, you can tailor your lesson plan easier. You know that what works, what didn't work. And also in class as well, you'll be able to spot those patterns, the observation with kids, and you will start building that experience in there because you're exposed to these problems like all the time, and then you know how to combat this problem. And it's really about giving yourself ability to play the piano, basically. You're not going to be a Mozart in a short period of time. You need to grow into it. The skill, you get polished in there, and you will learn more about each time how to prepare a better project. So I would say if you design a project, all right, keep thinking that as an innovative journey. Don't stuck there in that level, but try to think about how can I improve every single time. Okay. What about you, Mike? I want to listen to some stories of how you started as well.
How did I start? Well, every teacher starts by just trying. You go back, you do your first lesson plan, you go to teacher college, and you get this is how the lesson plan looks like, and then you do it. And then it never works. I always tell young teachers, the first plan you make doesn't work. And if we're going with the DBL, design-based learning, that requires even more preparation and thinking, because that is not a straightforward line. So many times, even with a straight line lesson plan, things may not work. With a DBL plan, things are even more open and messy.
Yeah, the ambiguity as well.
There's a lot of ambiguity, so you have to make sure you are prepared for it. But again, the first time you do it, it's not going to go well. You're going to walk out of the classroom feeling frustrated. That's why you need patience. You need patience for yourself, and you need patience for the kids.
Yeah.
So when you're doing a DBL plan, especially a DBL plan, when you see that the kids are not reaching the goals or the outcomes you want, don't just give them all the answers and then say, this is it, let's finish this. You need to have patience because kids need to grow. And
also don't put all the heavy duty work on you. You don't have all the responsibility for that. We're not teachers, we are facilitators, all right? Students have ownership on how they want to tackle the problem as well.
Correct.
So sometimes if you're really stuck, you have no idea, the best way is let students think.
Yeah.
We are stuck now here, what can we do next, all right? And you're giving ownership to share this responsibility with everyone, and this actually gives a better learning experience for kids to move on.
And sometimes the best thing to do, if you're time limited, better to end with an open-ended situation where you try again next time, rather than stick to a plan that no longer allows for the growth or the thought or the reflection that the kids need to grow.
Yeah, and then something I want to share as well at the end. It's before, remember, I was like jotting down notes, everything I'm going to say in that lesson. But now my confidence level. I can just walk into the lesson, I know my goal, and I can just facilitate in there. I don't need to prepare anything. I can just create this with kids and use my experience to help kids to solve their problems or look into a picture in a different angle. And that's where a facilitator really come into play, when you are confident enough to use the right tool at the right time according to what students want. But yeah, it's a journey to get there, definitely.
It's a journey. It's a big journey. And, and then patience is important.
Yeah.
Patience is
I'm also encouraging teachers to give it a try.
Yeah.
A lot of times when teachers didn't try DBL before, there's a like, I don't want to try.
Yeah.
But once they try it, they see how students are interacting or engaging with it. They see the value of why this is something we should do. So if you don't try it for the first time, you will never know what you're going to get out from it. And keep continue, and then you can do something so good for our kids.
Yes, you're correct.
Yeah. So
okay, let's recap. So the three attributes, right? The key attributes for DBL lessons are lesson planning ability.
Yeah, when we select the right tools, okay, not overwhelming with kids, and have a reason why you use this tool.
And then the second is facilitation skills, which is?
Try to be adaptable in there. Also ask students how they're going to get there as well.
Okay.
Try to plan it with the kids and make them understand why this tool is important to achieve the goal in there.
Okay, and then the DBL experience itself.
Yeah, just keep trying, keep going.
Keep trying. You have to experience it, right?
Yeah,
There's no shortcut.
No shortcut to success.
There's no shortcut. It is a bit ambiguous and winding, but it's still, you have to go through it.
Yeah, and I believe everyone can be.
Everyone can do it, definitely.
Can do it, all right? So.
And patience, be patient.
That's it for our lesson 5.
That's it for lesson, yeah.
I will see you in our lessons,
episode 6. Right, okay.
All right, thank you very much.
See ya.
Goodbye.
Bye.